My husband moved money out of our accounts for years. He forgot one thing about me, and it cost him everything. I found it on a Wednesday. Not because he slipped up, because the printer jammed. Marcus never printed bank statements at home. Everything was paperless, locked behind passwords he rotated every 90 days like clockwork. But that Wednesday, our home printer spit out half a page. A PDF sent to the wrong device. Just the bottom third of a statement from a bank I'd never heard of. No header. No account holder name. 3-line items and a balance. $41,000. I stood in our home office holding warm paper. The house smelled like pot roast. Our daughter was doing homework at the kitchen table. Everything normal. Everything fine. I read those 3 lines until the ink smudged under my thumb. Here's what Marcus forgot. Second date. 8 years ago. Thai restaurant on Maple with sticky menus and bad lighting. He asked what I did for fun. I told him I reconciled accounts. He laughed. I wasn't joking. Before I became a stay-at-home mom, I was a certified public accountant, not the kind who does your taxes in February. The kind companies call when their numbers don't make sense. Forensic accounting. Pattern recognition. Following money that doesn't want to be found. I left when our daughter was born. Marcus said it made more sense for me to stay home. His salary was higher, childcare was expensive, and, besides, you've earned a break. What I heard. I'll handle the money now. And I let him. For years. The mortgage. The investments. The monthly budget reviews over Sunday coffee like quarterly earnings calls. Here's what came in, here's what went out, here's what we saved. Thorough. Controlled. Generous with detail. Too generous, actually. That should have been my first clue. In my old career, the clients who gave you the most information up front were usually hiding the most underneath. But I trusted him. Loved him. And, honestly, I was tired. So I nodded at his spreadsheets and poured more coffee. That half-printed statement sat in my desk drawer for 6 hours. After dinner. After homework. After Marcus kissed my forehead and said he'd be in the garage. I pulled it out under the desk lamp and did what I used to do for a living. 3 transactions. 1 transfer, $2,200 moved on the 4th of the month. Recurring. Second was a payment to something called Greystone Property LLC. Third was a cash withdrawal. $800. $41,000 in that account. I'd never seen a penny of it. 43% of people who've combined finances with a partner have committed some form of financial deception. I know that number because I used to cite it in audit reports. Hidden accounts, secret purchases, buried debt. Around 7 million Americans are estimated to have a secret bank account or credit card account their spouse knows nothing about, according to figures cited by financial planners referencing consumer research. 7 million. And the research is consistent. Men were more likely than women to commit financial deception, according to the Neef-Harris poll data. I used to read those numbers as statistics. Sitting in my home office that Wednesday night, they became my biography. But I didn't panic. Didn't cry. The woman who would have cried about this died somewhere around year 3 of nodding at Sunday spreadsheets. Instead, I opened my laptop. Created a new folder. Named it Recipes, Thanksgiving 2024. Started documenting. Marcus came in around 10. Motor oil and cold air. Leaned in the doorway and asked what I was doing. Meal planning, I said. Smiled. He went to bed. I sat there for another 2 hours, pulling every financial record I could access, joint accounts, tax returns, mortgage documents, comparing what he'd shown me to what actually existed. The gaps were small at first. 100 here, 200 there. Going back at least 3 years. By midnight, I'd found over $60,000 I couldn't account for. My hands were steady the entire time. That surprised me more than the money. The next morning, I made his coffee the way he likes it, black, 1 sugar, favorite mug. Packed our daughter's lunch. Kissed him goodbye at the door. His car pulled out of the driveway. Then I picked up my phone and called a number I hadn't dialed in 4 years. She answered on the second ring. Claire, I said. It's me. I need a forensic accountant. And I need a divorce attorney who doesn't lose. The line went quiet for exactly 3 seconds. Then she said, "How bad?" I looked at the folder on my laptop, the one labeled recipes. Bad enough that he should have married someone who couldn't count. Tell me where you're watching from. Because this story is just getting started. Claire called back within 48 hours. Two names. A forensic accountant in Richmond who specialized in hidden marital assets. A divorce attorney in our county who'd never lost a contested property case. I saved both under dentist and dermatologist. Then I got to work. Dana, the forensic accountant, told me something interesting on our first call. Most people who hide money aren't actually good at it. They're just married to someone who trusts them. 7 million Americans keep a secret bank account or credit card from their spouse. Men do most of it. I wasn't surprised by that. What surprised me was how sloppy Marcus had been. He'd used our shared home computer. Never cleared the browser history on the family desktop because, apparently, a woman who didn't understand money would never think to look. I looked. Tuesday morning. After he left for work and the kids caught the bus, I sat at that desk with coffee going cold beside me. Opened every saved password. Every autofilled login. Every cached PDF statement he'd forgotten existed. The joint checking account showed exactly what he wanted me to see. Modest deposits. Normal bills. Groceries, utilities, his truck payment. Behind that, a brokerage account I'd never been told about. A savings account at a credit union 40 minutes away, open for 3 years. And a recurring transfer, $2,200 every single month, going somewhere I couldn't immediately trace. My hands were steady. My chest was not. Dana walked me through the next steps, her voice flat and professional as a surgeon's. Screenshot everything. Download statements to an encrypted folder. Do not confront. Do not change your behavior. She told me 43% of U.S. adults who have ever combined finances in a current or past relationship have committed some form of financial deception against their partner. You're not unusual, she said. But the amount he's moved? That's not casual. That's a project. A project. I followed the $2,200. The money wasn't going to another woman. Part of me had braced for that. The cliché, the coworker, the dating app. Thomas Whitfield. My brother-in-law. Marcus's younger brother. The one who showed up to every Thanksgiving with a new business idea and left with a plate of leftovers and no follow-through. The money Marcus had been draining from our future, from the college funds I thought we were building, from the equity I thought we were saving, was funding Thomas. I sat with that for a long time. Then a memory surfaced, sharp as broken glass. 3 months earlier. Sunday dinner at Marcus's parents' house. Thomas's wife, Janelle, had been talking about an investment property they'd just closed on. A lake house 2 hours north, right on the water. Beautiful place, she said. 4 bedrooms. A dock. She'd looked right at me when she said, "It's amazing what you can do when family helps family." I'd smiled, nodded, passed the bread. Now I understood. My family had helped her family. My paycheck, my overtime, the raises I'd earned over 6 years at the distribution center. Money I'd handed to Marcus because he said he was handling things. He'd handed it to his brother. His brother had bought a lakefront house with it. I was still driving a car with 140,000 miles on it. What followed was the hardest part, not the anger, but the discipline. Dana told me to keep collecting. The attorney, Renee, told me the same thing. Every screenshot is a brick, Renee said. You're building a wall he can't climb over. So I built. Text messages between Marcus and Thomas, pulled from our shared cloud backup. Bank statements going back 31 months. A spreadsheet I created myself, line by line, matching every transfer to a date, an amount, a lie Marcus had told me that same week. The week he said we couldn't afford braces for our daughter? He'd sent Thomas $2,200 the day before. I documented it all. Calm, methodical. The way you dismantle something you once loved. Then, on a Thursday evening, Marcus came home smiling. That big, easy grin. Tossed his keys on the counter. "Tommy's inviting us up to the lake house this weekend," he said. "Whole family. Kids'll love it. The lake house. built with my money. He wanted me to sleep there, smile there, thank his brother for his hospitality there. I looked up from the cutting board, held his gaze for exactly 2 seconds. Sounds perfect, I said. I'll pack tonight. And I meant it, because Renee had told me that morning the filing was ready, and I wanted to be looking Thomas in the eye when it hit. He kissed my forehead, walked upstairs whistling. I opened the hall closet, pulled down the suitcase, tucked a manila folder between my folded sweaters, the one with every statement, every screenshot, every text. Because I wasn't just packing for a weekend trip. I was carrying 31 months of transfers, a signed retainer, and the exact dollar amount Renee planned to read aloud in front of every person who had smiled at me across that dinner table. I was packing for the moment I'd walk into that lake house, look at every person who thought I was too stupid to notice, and the lake house smelled like cedar and someone else's money, and by Sunday evening, everyone inside it would know exactly whose money that was. I stood in the doorway with my suitcase in one hand, watching Marcus's brother Derek pop champagne on the wraparound deck, the one that jutted out over water so blue it looked photoshopped. His wife, Vanessa, had arranged hydrangeas in a vase on the kitchen island, fresh ones, the kind you get from a florist, not a grocery store. Marcus carried our bags inside, grinning like a kid at summer camp. I counted the windows. 12. Floor-to-ceiling glass overlooking the lake, each one probably costing more than my monthly contribution to the joint account Marcus kept telling me was tight. Dinner that first night was steak and roasted asparagus. Derek grilled. Vanessa poured wine she called a fun little find from Napa. Marcus laughed at every joke his brother told, louder than the joke deserved, the way people laugh when they're performing comfort. I ate slowly, smiled when spoken to, complimented the seasoning. Underneath the table, my hands were perfectly still. This place is incredible, I said, setting down my fork. When did you two close on it? Derek glanced at Vanessa. Quick, the kind of glance married couples share when they haven't rehearsed the same answer. About 18 months ago? He looked at his wife for confirmation. 16, Vanessa corrected, then immediately reached for the bread basket like her hands needed something to do. 16 months. That matched the third wire transfer, the big one. $212,000 routed through the Shell LLC my forensic accountant had already flagged. Must have been a great deal, I continued, keeping my voice light, curious, the way you'd ask about someone's new kitchen backsplash. Lake properties like this don't come cheap. Marcus shifted beside me. Not much. Just enough that his knee pressed against mine under the table, a signal. Drop it. I didn't. We got lucky, Derek said. Right place, right time. I let the silence stretch. Took a sip of the Napa wine. The rest of dinner passed in small talk. Weather. A neighbor's new boat. Vanessa's pottery class. Every sentence a careful brick in a wall built to keep me on the outside of what they all knew. But here's the thing about walls built with lies. They only hold if everyone agrees not to push. The hotel room smelled like stale coffee and ironing starch. I sat cross-legged on the queen bed at 6:47 a.m., still wearing the dress from the night before, watching my phone light up on the nightstand. 47 missed calls. Not one got answered. Claire filed the emergency motion Sunday afternoon. By Monday morning, a judge had frozen every joint account, every LLC tied to Marcus's name, and the lake house itself, which, as it turned out, had never been purchased at bargain pricing. The forensic audit revealed Derek had funneled $340,000 of our marital assets into a shell company registered under his girlfriend's maiden name. My husband had co-signed every transfer. What followed was not dramatic. It was arithmetic. The court ordered full asset disclosure within 14 days. Marcus missed the deadline. His attorney requested an extension. The judge denied it. When the final accounting landed on Claire's desk, the numbers confirmed what my kitchen table spreadsheets had whispered for months. Marcus had 3 secret accounts. Derek's investment opportunity collapsed under scrutiny the way most lies do, quietly, then all at once. His lender called the note. The lake house went to auction. He filed for bankruptcy protection before the leaves changed color. Marcus sent a letter in October. 4 pages, handwritten. He called it an explanation. He described pressure from his brother, fear of confrontation, a belief the money would come back before I ever noticed. The word sorry appeared 11 times. I know because I counted, the same way I'd counted every discrepancy in every statement he thought I couldn't read. I read that letter once, in Claire's office under fluorescent light. Then I slid it into the evidence binder between Exhibit 14 and Exhibit 16. Some apologies arrived too late to be anything but confessions. The divorce finalized in January. I kept the house we'd actually lived in, the retirement accounts he'd forgotten I knew about, and every cent the court clawed back from Derek's Phantom LLC. Marcus kept his brother's debt and a studio apartment off Route 9. Here's the part nobody expected. Not Marcus, not Derek, not even Claire. By spring, I'd enrolled in a certification program for forensic accounting, the same discipline that had unraveled my own marriage. The coursework felt like breathing. Every case study read like a version of my story, slightly rearranged. 11 months after I walked out of that lake house, I opened a consultancy. Small office, second-hand desk, one client at a time. She was a kindergarten teacher from Bridgeport whose husband had been skimming her direct deposits into a cryptocurrency wallet for 2 years. She sat across from me shaking, holding a folder of bank statements she didn't fully understand. I understood them perfectly. This morning, the morning I'm telling you this, I was reviewing a new client's financial records at my desk. 3 accounts that don't reconcile. A transfer pattern designed to look random but isn't. A wife who suspects something and a husband who swears she's imagining things. She's not. I found the discrepancy on page 6, leaned back in my chair, picked up my coffee, and I smiled. Not because someone else's marriage was falling apart, but because this time, the woman sitting in my waiting room wouldn't spend 3 years wondering if she was crazy. She'd have the answer by Friday. Marcus once told me I didn't have a head for numbers. He was wrong about a lot of things. That particular lie, though, it might be the one I'm most grateful for. Because it made him careless. And careless men leave trails. If someone ever told you that you didn't understand, that the money was handled, that you were worrying over nothing, that you should just trust them, I want you to sit with that feeling for a second. Not the anger. The quiet knowing underneath it. That instinct you kept pushing down because you wanted to believe them more than you wanted to believe yourself. Trust the math. It never lies. Subscribe. Next week's story kept me up for 3 nights writing it.